Hey everyone, it's James with Rowe-Thrush. Welcome to the Rowe-Thrush live stream interview. I'd like to ask all viewers to please comment where you're located and what vertical segment that you call on. Today we will be interviewing Garrett Kaufman with Essex Electronics. But before we get into that, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. So first, who is Rowe-Thrush? We are a manufacturer rep agency that represents just over 60 suppliers into Granger, ranging from lighting and electrical, material handling, hand tools, pneumatics, safety, security, plumbing, and heating and air conditioning. We specialize in working with the Granger sales force with many great tools and resources available to the sales force. We jump on district team calls on a regular basis. Actually, just this morning, I was on a district team call with Eric Quinn and District 4C5. So we do that regularly. We also have segment line cards for the Granger sales force. And we created the Rowe-Thrush SharePoint site specifically with the account manager in mind, with many great tools available to you, such as our entire library of Grangerized literature, Rowe-Thrush videos, and much, much more. And with that, would like to welcome Garrett to the Rowe-Thrush live stream. Hey, Garrett, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, James. How about yourself?
I'm doing well too. It's Friday afternoon, so looking forward to this, and then looking forward to the weekend starting shortly. So
absolutely.
So before we get into who Essex is and what you guys do, tell us a little bit more about yourself. How long have you been with Essex, and what did you do before you came to Essex?
Sure, James. So actually, this is my 26th year with Essex. I started with Essex while I was in college and did a project for Essex that had to do with developing a product for them. I did an undergrad in business management, an MBA, and focused on product development. So it was the right fit with Essex to develop a product for them. Once I started to work for Essex, I started in the area of IT and then moved into accounting and sales and marketing, product development. Now, as president of Essex, I oversee manufacturing, finance, the product development, business development side of it, and it's been a great run with Essex.
Wow, 26 years, that is a long time. You are definitely committed to it, and that's great to hear too that you've worn many different hats at Essex, so you know how all the how every department operates. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
So one more question before we get into it. And this is a question that I like to ask all of our guests, and that is, what is your favorite movie and why?
Favorite movie and why? I will say one of my favorite movies is actually Ocean's 11, and part of the reason that I enjoy this movie is not only because of the cast and the plot of the movie, but it's also because there's an Essex keypad that's featured in Ocean's 11, and Matt Damon was using this keypad to actually enter the vault as part of the movie, but I was not aware of it. When I saw it, I thought, oh, it's pretty neat to see an Essex product in a motion screen picture like this.
That's great. I always love seeing suppliers' products in movies, TV shows, real life. That's always a great feeling. I have to say, I've seen the movie. I've seen it probably 2 or 3 times because it is a good one. I do enjoy it. But I don't remember seeing it. So I think, maybe this weekend or coming up soon, I'll have to rewatch it because I know this is kind of near the end of the movie when they're actually doing the heist and breaking in. So I'll have to keep an eye out for it and hopefully see your product.
Sure. And I will say, James, actually Essex products have been used in a lot of different movies and TV shows, Crocodile Dundee and various shows. We have a lot of requests for our products, and it's nice to see our products on film. So
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee. That was one of my favorites as a kid. I absolutely loved the scene when he is getting mugged in New York City, and the guy's got a knife, and he goes, "That's not a knife. This is a knife."
All right.
That was one of my favorite parts. My friends and I, we always replayed that scene and acted it out too. So great stuff there. So tell us a little bit about Essex. When and how did Essex become established?
Sure, sure. So Essex was actually founded in 1977. It was established when Essex actually designed the first keypad keyless entry system for Ford. Everybody's familiar with that. And knowing that the keypad would be subject to harsh environments on the side of a vehicle, Essex really focused on the switch technology, and we focused on something referred to as piezoelectric, so piezoelectric switch technology. Ford liked the concept of keyless entry and obviously adopted that into its product line. But they opted for a lower cost, what ended up being a less reliable membrane, and then eventually conductive rubber switches, which became a warranty issue for them. But after Essex developed that for Ford, we expanded our product line into keyless entry, initially for residential, and then into larger commercial type applications. And essentially, James, over the years, Essex has established the reputation for manufacturing extremely ruggedized keypads, card readers, and various switches with superior construction. We've really focused on ultimately supplying the best. And you look at the keypads that are pictured here, the one that's near the center. That has a 12-pad 3x4. We've been manufacturing that keypad for over 25 years, and we've sold it on an OEM basis to Honeywell and Bosch, who've incorporated that into their product offering. But over these past 40 years, Essex has been specified by security consultants and installed by integrators worldwide. And really what we do is we primarily focus on the peripheral devices around the door, the keypads, card readers, and switches. Not so much the access control panels and mag locks and things like that, but more the devices that users are interfacing with to access the door.
Yeah, that's a great story right there. And I even remember back in my automotive days seeing those keypads on cars. I even had an '88 Lincoln Town Car at one point. I always wanted a big boat of a car, and so I bought one from a customer of mine actually. And because I knew how well she maintained it. And I remember it had that keypad on it, and I remember programming it, but I never used it because it was just, to me, it was just easier to just stick the key in the door to unlock it and get in. So I didn't mind that. But nowadays, obviously, everybody has key fobs, or they have apps on their phones that will unlock their car doors. So the technology has definitely changed.
Yes, it has changed and really transitioned from what is more of a convenience device. In addition to, we still sell this product as far as an automotive aftermarket product, and also into the RV industry. And it's we found the right niche for that. Somebody doesn't want to carry keys with them, and but ultimately that was the genesis of Essex 40 plus years ago.
Great. And now, where are your products manufactured?
So, James, the company was founded, and all of our products are designed and manufactured out of California. We are a U.S. manufacturer. We have fully integrated electronics manufacturing capabilities, including automated SMT manufacturing, circuit assembly, encapsulation, laser marking, engraving, and that. With that, James, we have we're able to tightly control our production process because we do 100% testing of all the products that we manufacture. And ultimately what that does is we see that as a result of a very low return rate on products. But we like the fact that we are a U.S. manufacturer, and we have some unique capabilities that we bring to the products as a result of doing that.
Well, that's great. And I imagine with the products being made in the USA, you probably have a lot of government customers, which actually brings me to the next question. What business segments can your products be sold into that they fit well within?
Sure, that's a great question, James. Essentially, Essex products are designed for virtually any door access control application. So they can really be used in all segments that Grainger focuses on. And whether it's a smaller single door application, medium, large business facilities and that with many access points, Essex provides a number of both touch as well as touchless devices that meet these various size facilities. Looking at the slide, healthcare at the top is one of our top vertical markets for Grainger. In terms of Essex products, our keypads, card readers, and switches are being installed. Particularly post-COVID here, during COVID, with across healthcare facilities, throughout the U.S. In addition, we have exposure with our products in terms of government and military applications. And, essentially, because we are focused on, access control, the peripheral, products that are used around a door, they really fit all segments, including hospitality, education, manufacturing, and even branch into, some of the others, property management and the multifamily projects that come up.
Great. And if I remember correctly, you mentioned that there is a product that all of the U.S. military recruitment centers use. Can you talk a little bit more about that before we move on?
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, one of our self-contained keypads, it's our SKE 26 series, has been specified for all the U.S. military recruitment centers. They selected this product primarily because it's a U.S. manufactured product, but also because of the reliability of the product, the features that they were looking for. So it's used not only for their application, but it meets many of the other segments in terms of access control.
Great. Now, stemming off a little bit more with that, where are specific locations that you can find Essex products located in?
Sure, James. So this list shows some of the more, high-profile, notable installations for Essex products. So, of course, the government, the White House, Pentagon, FBI headquarters. But one that I will also add. In terms of the correctional facilities, Essex products are used in jails, correctional facilities, due to their vandal resistance, ligature resistant aspect of the product. In fact, a number of years ago, we were contacted by Correctional Service of Canada to design a card reader that was used a little bit different than traditional access control, but it was used in conjunction with a guard tour system within the prison. And the reason they selected it, they had the traditional handheld wand system that's typically used for guard tour. There was a suicide in one of the inmate cells, and the guard who had not made his rounds took the wand, threw it in the microwave, and zapped all the audit trail off of it. So the government got involved and said, no, we need a more foolproof system. So we took our what we call our RoxProx reader, and we put an IP back end on it as a communication device in terms of guard tours. So, additionally, international airports have used our products, particularly the combination keypad card readers. to restrict access into secured areas in the hospitality industry, notably Bellagio and Mirage. A number of years ago, Steve Wynn became aware of Essex Keypads. In fact, that one that you showed earlier on your slide of the Ocean's 11, that keypad he standardized within his properties to use in terms of access control. So a number of different installations utilizing our products, but I would like to focus on this last bullet. That in the wake of the anniversary of September 11th, 20th anniversary that's coming up, I'd like to mention briefly about that. So post 9/11, Essex was appointed to design and manufacture a custom keypad that was used to secure the cockpit doors on commercial aircraft. And Essex manufactured over 8,000 of these keypads for Airbus to use to retrofit essentially their entire fleet. Now, this keypad uses the same piezoelectric technology as our standard keypads and switches, but it's nice that Essex was able to contribute to a product that provides safety in that type of application.
That's great to hear that you guys are adaptable to being able to make new products for new needs that are out there. Obviously, hope that nothing like that ever happens again, here on our soil or anywhere really for that matter. But that's great to hear that you were designing and manufacturing this new piece that is being used in aircraft to help protect people. So moving on, next question that I have for you is, what CBIs do your products solve, or customer business issues?
As far as the customer business issues, James, Essex products help support not only cost savings, but additionally the safety and security aspects that come up. Our philosophy from the start of Essex has been to design products that are built to last. Our philosophy is, once it's installed, install it and essentially forget it. We want to make sure that it's going to continue to operate. And there really shouldn't be any need to replace the product going down the road. So most of our products can be easily installed, and whether it's in a new installation or a retrofit application in terms of access control. More recently, Essex has introduced a variety of touchless products which enhance the safety within a facility. Essex Hand-E-Wave and touchless card readers help reduce the transmission of viruses that are commonly found on door hardware. Additionally, our products, because of their recessed design and what we call ligature resistant, and just to kind of further expand on that refers to the if you have like a behavioral health facility, if you've got a device, you don't want to somebody be able to hang themselves on that device. So and whether it's readers or card reader or touchless switches and that, we wanted to, in our development of products, to design products that ultimately will fit those types of applications, behavioral health, correctional facilities, and that, but ultimately provide the safety aspect in terms of access control.
Yeah, and that is a pretty big market with Grainger. I know I've worked with Vicki Franklin in the past, regarding anti-ligature type products with our suppliers for the healthcare segment. So, and I get asked those questions on a very regular basis with the healthcare account managers. So thank you for going into that. Next question. You've mentioned piezoelectric a couple times here, so I'm already familiar with what that term means from my automotive days, because actually some automotive devices, at least back in my day when I did it, utilize that technology. But can you explain a little bit more about piezoelectric and what makes that better from a standard conventional switch?
Absolutely. So, James, if you look at conventional keypads and switches, they're typically mechanical, membrane, conductive rubber type technologies. And, ultimately they are unreliable. They contain moving parts, in which over time they will fail. They have, contacts that will build up, and after repetitive use, they will fail. They can operate, you look at the specs, up to maybe 5 million cycles, but there will be a degradation of performance that will eventually cause the keypad or the switch to fail. So all of Essex keypads and touch switches utilize an advanced, we call piezoelectric switch technology. So piezoelectricity is actually found in a number of common devices, as you mentioned, one in terms of your experience, but most of us have seen it, the musical greeting cards that have a speaker inside of them. That speaker has a piezoelectric wafer inside that when voltage is applied to it, it will resonate and generate a tone. Another one is barbecues and the push button igniters that are used in barbecues to ignite them. That uses piezoelectric. So piezoelectricity is essentially an electric charge that accumulates, in certain types of material. So in Essex keypads and switches, we utilize actually a quartz crystal, and that crystal is normally at a flat stage. And when pressure is applied to that, force is applied to it, it generates a voltage output. So essentially, there's no moving parts in our keypads. They're, nothing to break, nothing to wear out. So when you press the switch, or on this keypad that you see here, there, that piezoelectric crystal is mounted on the back side of the stainless. You're actually bending that stainless steel a couple millionths of an inch, and that small deflection generates a voltage output out of the piezoelectric crystal. We have actually tested this switch technology to over 1 billion cycles. It took us 3+ years to get there. And pressing the switch, I think it was 11 times a second, and it took us over 3 years. We got to 1.1 billion cycles, and we figured, okay, this thing is going to continue to work. So, with that said, if you press an Essex switch with piezo technology once a second, it will still operate after 30 years. And so it's, the fact that there's no moving parts within the switch, it's unaffected by, and it will tolerate essentially any environment. You can have rain, even a sheet of ice over the surface of the keypad or the switch, and it will still operate. You got to push through it, but ultimately you just need that deflection in order to get that output out of the piezo. We use a lot of stainless steel within our products. In addition, we encapsulate the electronics, the circuit assembly, with a potting material that protects the circuit from moisture and humidity and things like that. But ultimately, the products are built to last, and we see a very, very low return rate of our products.
Well, that's great to hear, and kind of like what you said earlier about a CBI for cost savings. You make such a high quality product with the piezoelectric technology, fully encapsulating all the electronics, no moving parts. You're talking 30+ years of operation. Like you said, these are built to last and last. So that's great to hear. You had also mentioned something about a product called Hand-E-Wave. This is one of your top sellers with Grainger. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that and what makes ours different from other touchless switches?
Sure, absolutely, James. So Hand-E-Wave is a product that Essex introduced that utilizes a Doppler radar technology, which provides it's a very reliable, very consistent bidirectional detection from the switch. This the type of detection we've all seen in terms of law enforcement because they use it to measure the speed of a vehicle. Traditional infrared switches, are susceptible to types of interference. You can put a piece of tape or chewing gum, dirt, ice, various things on the surface of it, and it will affect the operation. So they ultimately, infrared, and another one is referred to as capacitive type touchless. They provide more of an inconsistent user experience in the switches. We've all used touchless faucets and automatic paper towel dispensers that only work some of the time. A lot of times you got to do it multiple times, and it's still they typically fail because the sensor lens is dirty. There's some kind of material or other types of interference that affect those. But ultimately, the Doppler radar, it's microwave. So because it will read through. We've actually read this through a sheet of plywood or ice, various materials that, essentially don't interfere with the detection of that signal. One other thing that the Hand-E-Wave products offers is the an adjustable read range or detection zone within the switch. So typically the infrared or capacitive switches are either fixed or have a very limited read range. The Hand-E-Wave product actually can be adjusted anywhere from about 2 inches out to about 2 feet. So depending on the application, it fills a wider variety of application because of the fact that it can be adjusted depending on the environment that it's been installed.
Wow, that's great to hear. And the adjustability part, I could see that being very beneficial, especially in a healthcare situation. Say you're pushing a patient, on a gurney or in a medical bed down the hallway to another room, and instead of having to stop to push a button or anything like that, you could set it so that it just senses you coming and it'll automatically open the doors. That way you can cut down on some time and get that person to wherever they need to be quickly. So good stuff there.
Yeah. One other thing I'll add, James, is in addition to that, so on the lower end, if you want to you picture something in a healthcare setting like a surgical suite within a hospital, and in that environment they want to turn it down to only a couple of inches, because they don't want unintended triggering of the switch. They want to make sure that the surgeon, when they're ready to go in, and they may set it to just a couple of inches, but so that's where the flexibility of the product comes in.
Yeah, great. And we actually just added a bunch of new SKUs for the Hand-E-Wave line of products where there are different sizes as well as different colors and finishes. So stainless steel is a standard, but we also have white, we have black, we have some that have a manual override button in case something happens where it's not operating as it's designed to. You can push a button to manually open it. So great to hear about all of that. Now, getting into the access control products like keypads and card readers, we're going to start getting into some of the specific products that you have here. And please tell us, applications for them, just a couple for each one, but also what makes our products different from others.
Sure, great question, James. So Starting with the switches, so we have both touch as well as touchless switches. And the first one, the PEB series, we've been manufacturing this for over a decade. These are very rugged touch REX or request to exit devices, and they're typically used to release a door lock as far as an access control system. These switches use the piezoelectric technology, which I described earlier, and they are in a completely sealed switch assembly, which is both weather as well as vandal resistant. And unlike most REX devices that are on the market, the PEB series also incorporates a built-in adjustable timer. So you don't need a separate timer, and part of that is for delayed egress in certain applications, airports and things like that. But there's a number of options with this product. It's available with either mullion or single gang faceplates, various graphics, push to exit, and as well as push to open. So this is a pre-COVID was one of our top sellers, particularly through Grainger. It's a very popular device. We go on to the next product, the Handy-Wave, which we've obviously been talking about. So the original Handy-Wave was developed in 2013, and this was just prior to the Ebola virus outbreak. And it was initially designed to provide healthcare facilities a means to protect the patients, visitors, employees, and all, in terms of the risk of spreading germs and what they refer to as healthcare associated infection. So ultimately, it was designed for that segment. But also pre-COVID, Handy-Wave was also used in a variety of other facilities, including food processing plants and clean rooms. These were perfect applications to use a touchless switch where you're concerned about spreading germs and contaminants and things like that. Since the COVID pandemic, Handy-Wave's been used in many verticals, even outside of healthcare, including education, hospitality, and expanding into the retail markets. As mentioned earlier, we've got this, the adjustable detection zone, which is a nice feature. But ultimately, the Handy-Wave was redesigned a year ago, back in 2020, to offer additional features, including, as you touched on, an optional manual override button. And this was primarily for emergency egress. There's certain code that requires a secondary button or a switch that would ultimately open the door in the event of an emergency. So we've added additional faceplate finishes, as well as double gang size faceplates in that, which has really enhanced the offering of the Handy-Wave product.
Great, and we'll go on to the next product. Or here we're going to get into actual access control. So please tell us a little bit more about these products as we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of access control keypads and card readers, the keypads utilize, as I've described, the piezoelectric switch technology. I'll talk a little bit about those specific products. But in terms of the card readers, so we partnered with HID. HID is a leading manufacturer in the contactless card reader and credential market in terms of the security industry. So before I get into the card readers, the next slide talks about our SKE series. So this is a standalone keypad access control system, and it's really designed for small commercial applications. It features up to 500 user codes and 3 programmable outputs. And this is also available in either a mullion style as well as a single gang. You've got a black as well as a stainless steel finish on the product. One comment that I'll make about the SKE series as an option, we have a stainless steel back box. And so if there's certain applications where you're trying to mount to to brick or stone or marble, a solid surface, and you don't have a junction box or back box within the surface. We have this as a mounting option, which is a nice option for the SKE series. We get into the K1 series. So for larger access control requirements, we offer this K1 series, and it's designed to tie into an OEM access control panel. There's as you can see, the field selectable outputs. There's several outputs that are available that can be programmed in the field, and the most common one being the 26-bit Wiegand. But ultimately, this will tie into a larger access control panel. This uses the same piezoelectric technology, as well as the vandal-resistant design of the SKE series, and very similar in terms of construction, and also available in a mullion as well as single gang format.
Great, and okay. And where would you use a ROX Prox? Why would you pick actually a ROX Prox card reader over a keypad reader?
So, James, what's happened in the access control market? There's still a need for keypad readers. However, the transition over the years has been to utilize a credential, a card, a key fob. Now the most recent transition is credential, a virtual credential on a cell phone. That's the next generation of products that we'll be introducing. But ultimately, it's if you think about it in terms of access control, there's vulnerabilities with any type of device. And keypad, I could give you my code. You could go up into a facility. You could enter that code. Similar with a card reader, I could give you a card. But ultimately, the credentials, the card access has become the dominant method, particularly for anywhere from small to larger facilities. So, like I said, we've partnered with HID. So all of our card readers utilize their technology, which we incorporate into our products. We do things a little bit differently in terms of the construction. We put our electronics behind stainless steel, and it's designed to be a recessed mount. So it will fit within mullion, it will fit within a single gang box, and you essentially have, this slide doesn't show it, but you have a faceplate that only sticks off the wall a little more than 1/8 of an inch. And so you have that vandal ligature resistant design in terms of access control. These readers have been specified in a number of behavioral health as well as correctional facilities, in large part because of the ruggedness of them. They're designed, built to withstand, those types of environments. We also see, supplying a lot of these into the education, healthcare, hospitality segments, just as an alternative to, various, plastic card readers, and, they'll stick off the wall, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. So, they're not as vandal or ligature resistant, but we provide the same card functionality in terms of a card reader.
Great. And the IROX.
So the IROX, they are we introduced these a few years ago. They are multi-technology, and they're smart card readers. So, the traditional proximity readers, although they're very prevalent in the market, a lot of exposure with them. HID introduced what they call I-Class, SE, and COS. These are it's a higher frequency. It's 13.56 megahertz is the frequency that these readers communicate with, which ultimately there are more secure card formats to communicate with the card readers. So we introduced these a number of years ago. Again, same construction. Variations of face plates and things like that. But, ultimately these are designed for a higher encryption, a higher security type application. You see there's IROX. IROX Plus actually combines the high frequency, a reader that can read high frequency credentials in addition to the low frequency. You might say, well, why do you do that? It provides a migration path, an upgrade for different facilities that maybe have procs already, with the idea that they may want to add iClass or COS, DesFire, some of these other card technologies down the road. So they can still, this reader will still read the procs credentials as well as some of the the high frequency credentials to enable that migration path.
Great. That's great to hear that you have that flexibility of the high and low frequency. So I think this is the last one. Piezo procs. Why would you need, and what applications would you use both a keypad and a card reader at the same time?
That's a good question, James. So piezo procs was actually developed back in 2013, and it was essentially to solve a problem for the Sky Harbor International Airport in Phoenix. And at that time, that they had combination keypad card readers, and the issue was that I'm not sure whose they were, but there was jet fuel that were from the mechanics' hands that they when they went to use the keypads, that were taking the numbers off the keypads. At that point in time, we actually were implementing a process in our production of these keypads where we use a laser marking process on the stainless steel. We literally soaked the keypads in jet fuel, and the numbers did not come off. So, the airport was very impressed with this. We retrofitted the entire airport, over 1,000 readers. But to answer your question in terms of when would you need this, an airport is a perfect example. If there's a need for a dual method of identification in an access control system, because like I said, I can give you my PIN number, I can give you my card. If I give you both, but typically in airport, certain higher security applications, they're looking for a dual method. Maybe after hours, you only need one or the other, but at certain times you may need both keypad as well as card in terms of gaining access.
Great. Great to hear all that. Before we go on to the next question, just want to let our viewers know that we'll be opening up to Q&A after this question. So start getting your questions in now because there's a little bit of a delay usually when we do these live streams. So start typing those in and get them into us now. So last question, does Essex provide any form of customization?
Yeah, James, we do. And primarily because we are a U.S. manufacturer and we have the in-house capabilities to do various, markings and that, we can customize a number of our products with different logos and that. Customization's been very popular in healthcare, education, as well as corporate facilities, which really helps support their corporate branding. We've got a process with an approval form. We set up a unique part number. So as far as Grainger is concerned, any orders for these types of products would be run through Grainger sourcing.
Oh, great. I was just thinking about it. We should probably send you the Rowe-Thrush logo and have you make up a custom one for us.
Happy to do it.
So with that, we're going to open it up to some Q&A. I'm looking here, and I do have one question here in private chat, and that is you've mentioned mullion. What is mullion? Can you explain that?
Sure. So mullion is actually refers to, and this is typically seen in a commercial or picture a retail environment where you have two pieces of glass that come together and there's an extruded metal piece or metal aluminum extrusion that combines or joins the glass together. That's 1 3/4 inches. So For those types of environments, we offer various keypads and switches and that will fit onto mullion. So it's a narrow style, also referred to as jam, in the market, but ultimately it's more of a narrow style form factor for the products.
Oh, great. So I'm looking here and I'm not seeing any other questions coming in just yet. So I think we're going to wrap things up. With that, I just want to do a quick reminder to everybody that both a video and audio recording of this live stream will be available on the Rowe-Thrush SharePoint site, so that users of the site would be able to view and listen and download those files from the SharePoint site. Also, our next live stream interview will be in 2 weeks on September 24th. That interview, we will be interviewing Milton Industries. So we'll be kicking off our hand tools section of our live stream interviews. And with that, I want to thank you, Garrett, for taking some time out of your Friday afternoon to join us today. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, James.